Guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity on behalf of StarCastTV. Upper right-hand corner, we have Soma starting as the teal Zerg. Bottom right-hand corner, we have Rush starting as the red Terran. This is on Polypoid. Initial Overlord making its way to the top left-hand corner. This is a battle for the ages. You have Soma, who I still consider to be one of the top three Zerg, going up against Rush. Oftentimes, Soma has incredible, overwhelming Mutalisk micro. We'll see how it plays out. Rush oftentimes will go for a 2 barracks push, and then if he isn't able to catch his opponent off guard and isn't able to take out their natural expansion or force a lot of sunken colonies into creep colonies, he'll just back off and try to play from there, which usually leaves him vulnerable to strong Mutalisk play, although he's made matches of it time and time again against really high-level players, which I think is absolutely incredible. Here, moving out, looks like he's going to put a supply depot on the low ground, staking claim to potentially grab a natural expansion. I wouldn't be shocked actually to see maybe a supply depot into command center attempt with the positioning here. I assume Soma, because this is a 4-player match, he's definitely going for an Overlord first build, but most likely going to go for a 12 hatch. So I don't know that he's really going to be in a good position to punish it if he does opt to do so. We'll have to see. So supply depot down. It looks like he is going to go for the barracks to follow, rather than just a straight to command center. So not going to play it that risky. But is establishing, as you can see, where you can maybe go for that command center immediately afterwards and skip that first initial marine. 12 hatchery being planted. Sorry, 11 hatchery being planted. No, that was 12. I think that was the timing of it. And initial drone scout making its way out across the map. Initial SCV scout making its way as well. Going to go for a clockwise scout, which means unfortunately he's going to come across Soma's base last. We'll see if he tries to peek. Maybe after not seeing the Overlord here, sometimes people will end around and switch their scouting pattern. But a Zerg of this caliber, maybe not wanting to risk it. Drone is going to make its way across to at least spot this, and might have an opportunity to force an initial Marine because of its presence, because there can be interruption, yeah, of that command center at the natural. You can see where the minerals are being saved for it, but even that drone just being wary out there, being a little bit frustrating, forcing that front door seal before command center. First Marine constructed, the drone now is going to have to wait on the other side of the lines. Was able to get a little bit of damage on that initial Marine, but immediately upon seeing that drone enter the base, though, Rush readjusting his scouting pattern is going to see the gas up, is going to find the spawning pool. Definitely looking like it is going to be a 2-hatch opener. Let's see if this drone heads back to home base or settles into the 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock as far as a follow-up layer being morphed. And we do have an initial pair of Zerglings being constructed. Command center now being constructed alongside a second barracks. No gas as of yet for Rush. So we'll see if he does stick with just the 2 racks style of play that we've seen him do before. Everything thus far is indicative of that. And now it's going to come down to that mid game with a little bit of a solid surround on that initial SCV. Now it's going to come down to Mutalisk micro versus potentially, well, we'll see how it plays out. It is possible with the Overlord off position, so you have the Overlord hovering over that 9 o'clock in no man's land. But right now, no other staging information for Soma, so it is possible he'll be caught off guard, but I suspect not. Academy dropped in that bottom right-hand corner, absolutely confirming that we're going to see that stim pack upgrade plus 2 medic play from there. Soma grabbing his second gas and grabbing that Spire. No drones moving out as of yet. The Zerglings scampering across. It looks like we do have a drone that is making its way out. I'm wondering if it is going to go for top left, try to create that sprint distance. Zerglings checking that natural, but a lot of those Marines were pocketed a little bit further back to deny a bit of information as far as their raw numbers. Stimpack now being researched. And there's the 2 medics. They'll be able to walk their way across to press. The Zerglings now sprinting back to join their brethren. We'll see if they can get confirmation here. Spire halfway finished. And this is where Soma needs to start thinking about getting a good read. Yeah, poking up once again just finding the 2 Marines on that corner. Didn't spot the medic critically. Comps that up. Scans the front, sees no sunken colonies, so lifts and starts to move. Now the medics have been spotted. One creep colony being dropped along that 12 o'clock nexus. 12 o'clock hatchery. The Zerglings harassing along that edge. Actually, potentially causing Rush to pull back. Yeah, he's pulling back, disengaging, and really being slowed down a decent amount by that Zergling threat from the rear. So the Zergling's not going for the run by. It looks like that was resealed. But Rush being harassed enough where he's just going to stay put, as the Mutalisks would be there by the time he was able to get them out in the air. But range being upgraded, 2 additional barracks being dropped, and now +1 weapons being engaged, which opens up a good slot of time before that +1 weapons is finished for these Mutalisks to get up in the air and maybe get some damage done. You do take a bit of an economic hit with that 2 racks opener. It does delay that +1 weapons, which and that range slightly, which can be absolutely huge. Range going to be finished in not too long. Mule's trying to dive forward and get something, not getting anything yet. Nice positioning there by Rush. Zergling checking forward, and it looks like actually able to dive right past everything, get into the main. That turret's going to get wiped out. The Marine's going to be wiped out as well. And the Zergling's going to sprint across, work on a turret and be annoying here in the background. The Mutalisks in no man's land. If they can get those medics, that would be huge. It looks like just picking off a handful of Marines, getting what wins they can. The Zergling's still there? No, it looks like the Zerglings were in fact cleaned up. But more Mutalisks joining the grouping. +1 weapons about halfway finished. And it looks like this is going to be a large Mutalist dedication. We've got a full complement of 10 swinging their way around, and Rush dropping 2 more turrets out of necessity to try to keep his medic Marines healthy. If he's not careful and loses too many more Marines, he could just get obliterated by the straight Mutalist play from Soma. 2 more Marines being picked off, and they're getting kind of spread out across that line. 2 of the medics very low on energy, dangerously so. So we've got 1 medic with a decent amount of energy and the rest potentially low. So it's just going to be Marines and Marines alone able to pick off a Mulist there. And right now, Soma doing a great job. Has pulled off 1 battered Mulist to heal it up. But this is all without that +1 weapons engaged as well. At the very least, there hasn't been any raw base economic damage across the SCV line for Rush. Starting to move up with his... It looks like he's added another medic to the grouping to try to deal with those energy problems. +1 weapons just about to finish, which will make this attack a little bit more easy to deal with. That Extractor's been up for a while, however. Queen's Nest just about finished. Second creep colony in position, and it looks like we do have that Hydral Sten, but Lurker Tech not quite there yet. So there is an opportunity for Rush. If he can position far enough forward, he might be able to break the Sunken colonies if he gets a move on. And he is dangerously close to that natural expansion. Mulisk trying to harass the rear. Again, that medic energy has been a big problem, which is allowing, that with the +1 weapons, the Mutalisk just devastating the lines, and Rush having lost that last grouping of Marines and having medics low on energy, it looks like he's just going to return to home base and cut his losses. Try to play for the next stage of the game. He does have a siege tank out, so it looks like he wants to go for the siege tank. Potential timing follow-up. Starport's there. Is going to need a science vessel regardless to make that work. The Mutalisks hovering over that natural expansion. Queen's Nest being upgraded. Lurker Tech is finished. Few Lurkers waiting along the wings. But Rush wants to follow this up with his namesake and go for a bust on the front. 4 racks continuing to hum. Siege tanks out. Looks like it potentially is going to be without siege tech. Mutalisks looking to cut off reinforcements in between here and there. They can 2-shot these turrets easily with +1 weapons. SCV's now getting picked off. Those siege tanks need to flee to the north, and that science vessel might be exposed depending on the timing of these Mutalisks in the base. Working on that machine shop that's now upgrading siege tech. The SCV's pulling off to try to group repair, but those Marines taking damage as well. SCV's dying as they're repairing, so some economic damage. More Marines getting obliterated as well. And Soma showing why his Mutalisk micros is just feared and respected there. Losing a lot of Mutalisks, but wreaking a lot of havoc in the main. Surprisingly, down a good amount of supply, but that's because Rush has just been pumping the troops. However, now, with Lurkers and more Mutalisks taking the front, Siege Tech just about finished. Does he have enough to defend this? Going for a Greater Spire at the main. Mutalisks trying to harass that rear edge. They need to get on top of those Siege Tanks. 3 Lurkers here to defend, 1 getting focused fire. And that front Sunken Colony getting wiped out. Now the question is will that Greater Spire be in time? Lurkers cutting off reinforcements between point A and point B. Siege Tanks looks like they're going to get picked off in between. The 2 Siege Tanks pressing forward. The Marines need to huddle up around them. Mutalisk grouping back potentially to turn into Guardians to repel this. But the attack proceeding forward. Marines trying to poke that last Sunken Colony. They're able to hit it, but take a lot of losses as a result. Now the Marine grouping potentially looking thin. Rush sending the attack forces the long way around to get in position. 1 Sunken Colony remains. The Mutal still engaging from the rear. The Siege Tanks now exposed, taking some damage. The Mutals finding reinforcements, trying to pick off. Looks like they are able to pick off the Siege Tank and a couple of troops, but losing some of their lives. That natural expansion now exposed. The Science Vessel here as well. That does not bode well for those Lurkers. A Defiler out, but too late. Cocoon's morphing as that natural expansion is being breached. Irradiate on the Mutalisks as well. So Rush breaching in, ignoring the Lurker line, just going to push the troops past it because this is do or die time, is able to wipe out that natural expansion. Guardians are now here. There's not a lot of anti-air. We'll see if there's some Wraith as far as a follow-up, but Rush has done the damage, wiped out that natural expansion, and is now backing up towards that third. The Guardians diving forward to maybe get some additional damage. Big supply lead for Rush. He's now starting to attack the top left, the Nidus Canal in construction. Soma is in a odd situation where he's got a lot of tech. Looks like he's trying to hunt down that Science Vessel, but he's got to defend that top left, still defend his natural expansion, which he's trying to re-grab. Tempting Marines into that Lurker line, doing a good job of doing so. Mules trying, and the Guardians slowly trying to hunt that Medic Marine army. Mid-map, they need to be a bit careful that they don't extend too far, because otherwise, with a decent amount of micro, they can get picked off pretty easily. A Wraith now staging up for a potential secondary attack back at that natural expansion. Rush is going to attack top left and potentially sweep towards that natural expansion simultaneously. A Lurker is not there in time to blockade the ramp. It looks like a morph last second, but it's not enough. The Nidus Canal gonna get wiped out, and Rush looks like he's done it. Well, never mind. The Mutalisk cleaning up the top left. The Guardians moving in might be solid enough to defend this. Some drones might get picked off and irradiate on the Mutalisks as they're spreading. So a bit of disruption. It looks like this is going to get cleaned up, however. And the Medic's going to be wiped out as well. There's another grouping. Rush needs to land this on the natural expansion, wipe out everything once again. Supply lead, 40 supply lead for Rush right now. Firebats grouping up as well to help deal. And right now, Soma just hasn't had that gas mining to work with it. Marines diving in, losing a lot of Marines in that dive. Irradiate's being dropped. Firebats grouping up. The Wraith taking care of the Guardians top left. Plague being dropped, but a Mutalist not nearby to deal with it. So it looks like the Wraith are still going to be able to pick off what's left of these Guardians. Now moving up. Might just able to sneeze on those Wraith and wipe them out. Rush regrouping. He's grabbing the 6 o'clock base to keep his economy rolling. Soma has been able to resaturate that natural expansion, but for how long? 3 Lurkers stacked right there. The Marines grouping. One of them, all of them wiped out now. Natural expansion once again exposed. Lurkers piling through that Nidus Canal. Into fire, wiped out nearly immediately. More eggs morphing as the natural expansion's been breached once again. The drone's getting completely wiped out. Soma in the red as overlords have been taken out here. And that might be GG. Double the supply now for Rush. And Rush holding to his namesake and just applying constant pressure. There's GG. Rush takes it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Well played by Rush. Thank you for listening.